Hey, all my Leos, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your November 2024 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Leo, I'm referring to Leo rising as dictating the landscape of the chart. This is also applicable to Leo sun, Leo moon, and if you have 3 or more planets in the sign of Leo, this is also for you. When I refer to a day and a time, it's based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. Okay, let's chat. The month of October was pretty intense, and the month of November is no less intense. In fact, maybe more intense. We have Pluto, Mars opposing each other in the late degrees of Capricorn and Cancer, and this is two gangsters basically duking it out. And I did a separate video on that, so please check that out if you like Leo. We have Saturn turning direct in Pisces. We have Pluto moving into Aquarius, your 7th house, for the next 20 years. And that's going to be very powerful transformation. So let's pull the chart up and jump right in, because the month starts with a new moon in Scorpio. And this is at 9 degrees of Scorpio. And it's primarily making one aspect to Saturn. Scorpio is your 4th house of home, hearth, how you nurture yourself, how you allow your intuition to blossom and grow. And then we see Saturn is in Pisces, and Pisces is your 8th house. And this is kind of interesting because the 8th house is a very psychological house, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of power and control. It's where the soul experiences the physical death for the first time. And Pisces rules the subconscious. So this is really powerful for you, Leo, because there's an opportunity to plant seeds for a new beginning. The 9th degree is the Sagittarian degree. It's also this completion of a cycle before we start something new. And the new moon in and of itself is the beginning of the moon and the sun coming together to plant the seeds to create something. And then it goes through a gestation period, which is what Saturn requires. So here, this could very well be the potentials for planting the seeds for a new sense of feeling secure. For, when we look at the 8th house, we look at creativity involved with Pisces, and we look at other people's money in the 8th house. You could plant the seeds for some sort of creative endeavor. Plus, Scorpio naturally rules the 8th house. So there's some sort of cooperative relationship going on here beyond the trine, but it's going to task you to come from your heart and have courage to endure the journey of this experience. This is the challenge of Leo. You are technically you govern and rule the whole zodiac. You rule leadership. You rule the heart and the spine. So this is really a new moon to plant the seeds for something that is from your heart. And then, of course, to have the tenacity and the fortitude to move forward without necessarily immediate results. On the first day of the month, we see that Venus, she went over the great attractor back in the late of October. This is an opportunity still, while she is in orb, to take advantage of the receptive energy of Venus. She's in Sagittarius. That's your 5th house of creativity. So this plays on this new moon, giving you this real opportunity to attract the resources that you may need, the money, the dynamics, whatever it may be. Now, in the background of all of this is this fight between Mars and Pluto. And this is going to go on until mid-November, almost till Thanksgiving, really. It's intense, the most intense in the later weeks of October and the first half of November. This is while we're experiencing the presidential election in the United States. And even for those of you that watch that are out of the United States, this whole situation is ripple effect throughout the world. So the awareness of that opposition, again, I did a video on it, so check that out, because this is going to play in the background. And overall, while Capricorn is your 6th house of work and Cancer is your 12th house of your soul's imprint, your ancestral history of your soul, hovering on those last degrees before before Mars moves into your 1st house, is really powerful for being brave enough to look at the underbelly, and rather than trying to make excuses and squirrel away, just saying, hey, it is what it is. And now with this information or this awareness, I can move my story forward. And I think that's evidenced by Mercury's trine to Mars and Uranus's sextile, because this is, to me, very important. And Uranus is going to play a big role in the Taurus full moon later in the month. So here we go. We're off to the races, and it's only the first day of the month. Let's go now to the 4th. Mars will have moved into Leo, and Venus will be in an opposition to Jupiter. I'm going to change the time to 12 p.m. Click off of Mars real quick. So what we see here is Mars has moved into Leo. It's still very much in a conversation, and a tense conversation. This is like Al Capone and his, rival gangster, and they act all nice to each other when they meet each other. And then when they have differing ideas or differing agendas, it's all out war. So I got to say, be mindful, allow yourself the privilege as a Leo to enjoy something, to move a little bit, sidestep it if you can. We're still seeing that Mercury is making a favorable aspect to Mars. So that's nice, because that's hopefully, brave communication, constructive communication. And I think that Neptune's influence here gives you an opportunity to come from a more spiritual perspective. And that would be to step on the side of the receiving of the communication of whatever this is very, very, very tough. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it, because it would not serve you. Let's move to a little later in the day, because I want to look at Venus. Hold on. Where is Venus? Here she is. Venus and Jupiter are in an opposition. And I think this is important because they both rule money. And for you, Leo, this would be your 5th and your 11th house. Gemini is your 11th house of the World Wide Web, your hopes and your dreams, the cosmic consciousness. And the 5th house is your house of self-expression, the house you naturally rule. So while there is a bit of a push-pull here in their opposition, they both want expansion. They both want to create a sense of security and abundance. So, again, I really feel like for my Leos, the key to these situations is your individuality. We see Aries is your 9th house that naturally is ruled by Sagittarius. So as we see a nice aspect between Venus and Chiron, this is where you can be aware of your fears, aware of the tensions, and yet at the same time, use your awareness to draw in the experiences that you want, versus waiting for, or something to drop on you. I need to go work hard. I need to put out more emails. I need more numbers to be viable. Sometimes, we look at the results and we inadvertently dumb down our effort because the results aren't happening the way we want them to quick enough. And this is another indicator here, this freaking opposition. It's really the most powerful dynamic in the skies right now. And everything else is just a supporting character. And I want to offer this too, because in the United States, the 5th is election day. And I expect that nothing will be settled. So people will be edgy and cranky, and, who knows? Just forewarned is forearmed. Let's go to the 11th, where Venus will move into practical Capricorn. Not the sexiest for her, honestly, but at the same time, I think this is really powerful because she's had inspired ideas while she was over the Great Attractor over in October. And then she got to traverse over the galactic center and download information. And now she's in practical Capricorn. Capricorn is your 6th house of work, giving you an opportunity to really start to think about the money that you make, how you make it, how willing are you to allow the process of reception, the process of money comes to me as I step into my divinity and call forth for the universe to bring the resources that I need. I think this is a really powerful step for my Leos, because the as Pluto moves into your seventh house, I think you can really attract people that you may not have ever encountered before. People who grip or who grab onto your ideas, grab onto your individuality, grab onto your leadership, and you may not have experienced that. And if you bring the old into the new, you're going to be dumbing down the experience. So having an opportunity to know that you're not going to be able to see necessarily how to take action. Okay, so here's your first house. Here's Venus moving into your sixth house. This is a bravery of the heart once again, and that's the square over here to the moon conjunct Neptune. The moon's going to move fast, but I'm focusing more on Neptune. While it can feel erosive if you go into the material world and look for the evidence of what you're starting to build. But no, this is the conversation in Capricorn where you start to compile the Legos or compile the Lincoln logs to build. It isn't necessarily about the manifestation, but Capricorn wants to see the manifestation. But here it's the endurance of it. It's the enduring, doing your own thing. It's the what will other people actually think about me, and am I being a cooperative component in general? Because sometimes when we're focused on building something, we have to push other people's agendas aside. And if one sign gets a lot of, BS for being selfish, it's Leo. But I don't necessarily think it's selfish to make oneself happy, because that then spreads out into the rest of your world. So expect Venus to feel a little bit challenged. Expect there's the potential that money may trickle in versus flowing in, or it may feel as if your self-worth is slightly tasked a bit because things are a little bit more arduous. Again, there's always a sense of burden in the initial Capricorn energy, and then we get used to that rhythm and we start to trust the hard work is paying off. All right, now let's go to the 15th, where we have two things happening. First, we have a full moon at 1:28 p.m. in Taurus, conjunct Uranus. And I think this is so incredibly powerful, because the full moon is the brightest phase of the moon, where we're getting some sort of illumination. We're getting some sort of conclusion. But this one pops big time, because Uranus is like, Uranus is taking no BS anymore. It's like, I don't want this. I don't want to be held back. I want to be liberated. I want to move on to the next chapter. And as Uranus is reviewing the Taurus energy, which for you is your 10th house of career, you're getting to really review, how am I displaying myself as a leader? How am I allowing my ambitions to be a joyful experience, okay, a liberating experience, Uranus rules your hopes and your dreams. So I think this is some sort of illumination. And because of the aspects to Pluto and Neptune and the long-term conversations that these three outer planets are going to have, I think this illumination is foretelling change in a way that feels exciting and electric and a little bit lightning strike. So that's pretty powerful. Now, at the same time, we see Saturn has moved direct. Now, Saturn during this full moon is tasking you, Leo, how do I think? Where is my expansion? Your Gemini and Sagittarius is that access. Sagittarius, your fifth house of your self-expression, of your performance, your hopes, your dreams, your romance, the conception of creativity as well as children. And then the 11th house rules your hopes and your dreams, and this layer of communication, because it's already communicative over the World Wide Web. Now there's a opportunity to create a sense of neighborhood. And it's kind of funny to say that, because when I look at Jupiter lately, I think of Jupiter as ruling content that we create on the internet, because it rules publishing and branding and marketing. And when we create content on these various platforms, as I'm doing right here in this video, we are publishing ourselves. So here in your 11th house, there's a review of how you want to move your story forward, and how your Pisces energy is offering you transformation to a deeper level of creativity and also an awareness that whatever may be holding you back or hiding in the dark nooks and crannies of your subconscious could very well be, as it comes into the light, the thing that spawns new ideas. So, and Mercury here in the opposition during this time to Jupiter actually feels stronger to me. Both planets are in detriment, but Mercury is near the great attractor. And Mercury is going to visit this point 3 times before the end of the year. And this is the first time actually was conjunct on the 13th. Any planets that you have in Sagittarius within 5 to 10 degrees of 14 degrees of Sagittarius is going to be a powerful tool for you to attract the resources that you need in order to complete your projects. But a lot of what you're going to be building right now is based on your individuality and your faith in yourself that you cannot see in the material world. And that's evidenced by the square to Saturn from Mercury and the Chiron making a trine to your individuality here in your 9th house of self and belief. All right. So that's a pretty big day because we're going to feel Saturn just station in the sky as it has already been and continue to stand there almost with those hands on his hips saying, will you allow yourself to rise like the phoenix, or will you hang on to those subconscious fears that tether you to a small version of yourself that create worry, worry, worry? And again, this is what is being illuminated. We've got the sun in Scorpio. We've got the moon in Taurus, which rules your self-worth. It rules your voice. It rules your ability to birth your skills into the world. Okay. Now we'll go to the 19th. Now I'm a numbers gal. So here the full moon is at 1:28 p.m. And 4 days later, when Pluto actually moves into Aquarius for the next 20 years, it happens at 1:28 p.m. Though that reduces down to an 11. My thoughts are things. This is such the theme with the human experience. The soul literally comes into the physical so that it can tame the apparatus that is known as the brain and the mind and infuse the soul's knowing into it to create magic. And we haven't conquered that yet. But boy, I don't know. When Pluto moves into Aquarius, I have high hopes over the next 20 years. Not only and then we're going to discover life outside of the earth plane, and we're really going to have a lesson in acceptance if we don't get that soon. Okay, the sun will move into Sagittarius on the 21st. We can pop over there real quick. And the only reason I want to do this is because I think that as the sun moves forward in Sagittarius, and on the 25th, we'll see Mercury, who is now stationing to go retrograde. They're going to cross over. And as they meet with a Mercury retrograde and the sun moving forward, I feel, and that's happening in December more than likely, I feel very much as if there's going to be a lot of thoughts about my ego expression, the idea of where is my creativity, am I serving myself? Am I allowing myself the expansion I deserve? 5th house Sagittarius. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to the 25th, but I'm going to do a separate video on the Mercury retrograde. It's a month long, but I'll just pop over there real quick. I think it's later in the day when Mercury moves actually retrograde. So I'm going to move to the evening at 10 p.m. And here we see Mercury starting his retrograde. Actually, Mercury has no gender, so I don't know why I said his. But in any case, most what I want to focus in on is that 22nd degree is pretty pivotal. It is a Capricorn degree. We know Pluto is in Capricorn, and it's also the degree of kill or be killed. And so this to me is the death of small-mindedness. This is the death of the fears that run amok and have no real roots in reality. And I think that as Mercury has an opportunity to 3 times go over the great attractor. First, it was on the 13th of November. Then we're going to see Mercury retrograde and on December 5th, be exact at 14 degrees of Sagittarius. And then Mercury is going to move forward again, direct, and on the 27th, revisit the great attractor exact. This is going to be a very powerful opportunity to take advantage of that energy that wants to support the soul's human experience. And I mean that in a way of manifesting in the material, because that material, you know, honestly, with that, what's the point of being a human if you can't manifest in the material? Okay, let's go to the final day of the month, which is the 30th. And that ends with a new moon in Sagittarius. And I'm going to do another video on that as well. So we're just going to touch on that briefly. This is at 10:21 p.m. Pacific time. And this is pretty important to me because, again, I'm a numbers gal and I see that 9 degrees. And we just started the month at a 9-degree Scorpio new moon. Now we have a 9-degree on the very last day of the month. Sagittarius new moon. I think this is very powerful. I think it's powerful because that 9 is a cycle, you know, the ending of something and the beginning of something else. So here, I think this is the beginning of being a little more brave, Leo, in your first house. This is nice. It ends on your first house, starting to assert yourself towards your dreams. And this is not necessarily asserting yourself, pounding the pavement again, but really aligning to the structures that you have built in your psychological, unconscious, subconscious mind. Pisces, again, is your 8th house. And as you are enduring here, you may even find that this could bring in some benefactors, you know, it could bring in, if we think about Saturn rules companies, you know, traditional companies, buildings, things that have sustained time. So through your diligent effort and your bravery during this time, you could find yourself starting to court or create a platform to court companies for their investment in your situation or in your creation of some kind. You won't see the money right away. Here's Venus over here in a half square to this new moon, but it can be something that is nurtured. It could be the process of presenting things, you know, even to an elder of some kind. But whenever we see 8th house, it's going to involve other people and other people's money. There's a little bit of a challenge with Saturn in the 8th house right now, because it could, you know, on a very, if you're gripped in fear and you don't believe in yourself, it could feel very tanky and very heavy and a lot of loss there. But I don't necessarily buy that because I think the people that watch this kind of material are sitting in more awareness and more intention in their manifestations. So I think this could maybe hit people that are just banging around the earth like little humans and don't realize that they're so much bigger than that. Again, bigger, because Sagittarius rules the angelic realm, that expansion, that well. So, all righty, I'm going to stop sharing. All right, my Leos, that's November 2024. Again, things are heating up. We are going through truly transformational times, but transformation in awareness, in integrity, in an acceptance of our diversity, which really truly is the beauty of the expression of the human life. And as Pluto moves into Aquarius and we venture further and further into our universe and we come across other beings that aren't like us, what we're experiencing now is the foreshadowing of how we will be adaptable in that situation. And it's coming, whether we like it or not. Okay, like, subscribe, share. I have at the end of this video, there'll be an end card. There is a love and money video for November. I did a tarot card reading for you all. And again, there's that Pluto Mars video if you want to check that out, and come back in December for more fun content to see what's going to happen. And join me live on Sundays at 11 a.m. Pacific. Thank you, Leo. Have a wonderful November. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.